Spending Plan 101 series. This is week 4. And today we have a really hot topic. We're going to talk about relationships and money. And to do that, we're going to review the book 7 Money Mantras by Michelle Singletary. Okay? But before I get into talking about the book, let me give you an outline for today. So we're going to start with doing a quick review of what we talked about last week. The 4 questions of going on a journey. We're going to do a review of the book 7 Money Mantras by Michelle Singletary. And that's going to lead us into our discussion about relationships and finance. And of course, we're going to talk, give you a homework assignment, and then I'll give you a sneak peek and summary and sneak peek. So let's go ahead and get into this. So last week we talked about how we're going to view making a spending plan as going on a journey. And the first question you ask yourself going on any journey is, where are we going? In regards to a finance plan, it's what are your financial goals? In the next few weeks, I'm going to help you put together a series of good goals. But getting back to thinking of a journey, there are 3 other questions people oftentimes miss, which are, how are we going to get there? Where are we now? And where are we going in the first place? Now to bring that back into finance, how are we going to get there is your spending plan. Where are we now? Or reason why where are you financially? Like, how do your spending habits and things look like now? And that's why you're recording all your transactions and things like that. And then the 4th question, which was your homework assignment from last week, which is, why are we going in the first place? And this is the most, to me, fundamental and important question, because you need to know why you need to have this plan and you're sticking to this plan, because times will get tough. You will be tempted, and you need to know, like, you know what? I'm saying no to this thing right now because I have bigger and better things ahead, and that's why I'm sticking to my plan. So that was last week. But this week we're gonna talk about the 7 Money Mantras by Michelle Singletary. Let's let you know a little bit about her. She's a columnist for the Washington Post. I highly encourage you to check out The Color of Money. It's really, really good. But in regards to the book, it's a 2-part book, and the first part of the book is 7 Money Mantras. I'm reciting for you really quickly. First one's about assets. Then it's about identifying between something as a need or a want, sweating the small stuff, cash is better than credit. That's a phenomenal section of the 4th mantra. Keeping it simple, priorities lead to prosperity, and enough is enough. That's the first part of the book. The second part of the book, she goes into a lot of these finance basics, and throughout the book, she uses her grandmother, who raised her and 4 of her siblings, while never making more than about $13,000 a year. And her grandfather happened to be an alcoholic. So it's something I think is a very, very powerful story, very moving, and again, very real. Like, you can have some confidence in what she's saying. Other thing you'll pick up as you read the book is that she's honest, but she's also cheap. If you thought you were cheap, read her book. You won't feel cheap no more. Just saying, okay? The other thing I really appreciate, and a lot of this is attributed to her grandmother, is she has a very old school approach in viewing money. And a lot of ways she talks about how money and relationships from time to time, the relationship with, your spouse, your significant other, to relationship with your family members. And I want to kind of talk about that very briefly. Again, we're going to stick to the financial perspective, okay? I am not a relationship expert. I'm a finance man, among other things. But I want to talk to you very briefly about relationships and finance. I'll be using the book and some of my own experience as well as others to kind of drive home 2 things I really want to highlight. And the first one is about more of those spouse type relationships. Is, if you didn't know, 50% of marriages in divorce, but did you know that over 50% of those that end in marriage do so because of financial issues? Finance is the leading factor for divorce, okay? So, and I think one of the things that 3 things I think are important to kind of addressing this issue is the first is management of expectations. People don't know, but the only area you really save in getting married is on housing. People still eat. People still need to go need transportation. They still need clothing. They still need all those things. It's just now you're sharing, because I don't think you 2 were sharing the same clothes and things like that. Sometimes you can share the same vehicle, but you get my point. Like, housing is really where you save your money. And one of the things I really appreciate, this goes to the second point, she talks about in her book, in her column, on her website, is the importance of being honest with yourself and your spouse. What am I talking about in regards to finance? Sharing your credit report before you get married. It's very important that you know what you're getting into. This goes back to management of expectations. And the third point is just me, brothers, I just want you all to know, don't start anything you can't keep up. And this is, my personal experience. Like, don't go out here spending money that you don't have on somebody. If you start off with buying a very expensive wedding ring and then have this elaborate wedding, brother, if you can't keep that up, it's a recipe for failure. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Just my 2 cents. Not saying you shouldn't put your best foot forward. Put your best foot forward, but be honest with yourself, and that you're not digging a hole. Because again, once y'all get married, now that's y'all's debt. So just something to be aware of. But again, I don't want to just talk about relationships with your spouse and things like that. I want to talk about relationship with family members and friends, and I get to the second thing I want to talk about, which is gifts. Giving gifts is a love language. I know. I've read the book. I got it right here. By Gary Chapman, The 5 Love Languages. Men's is a men's edition. Brothers, check this out. Really good book. I understand that giving gifts is a way of expressing your affection. But understand, the first point I have here, Michelle talks about in her book, it's a quote from her book, is the price tag of your gift is not a yardstick of your affection. Let me say that one more time. The price tag of your gift is not a yardstick of your affection. You need to know that. Okay? And one of the things that she recommends in her book, and the second point, is communicating clearly and letting people know ahead of time, I'm not spending but so much money on you. And that's not any way saying that I don't care about you, I don't love you, that you're not important in my life. It's simply saying I have to manage my resources. Because people on average spend 6 months paying off debts they incurred, or accumulated during the holiday season, during Christmas. 6 months? You spend 6 months on average. It's not, no, y'all. That's not it. And the final point, just another one. My brothers, I'm gonna raise my hand on this one too. When it comes to giving gifts, particularly you dating your lady friends or whatever. Be creative. Listen to her. She will tell you everything you need to know, and then some. I know. I'm asking a lot, but just listen. Trust me, it'll work. It's okay to be thoughtful. It's okay to use your brain. It's okay to have creative dates. I'm raising my hand. I'm telling you, this works. Okay? I'm not encouraging you to be cheap. I'm just encouraging you to be thoughtful. Because again, many of those gifts, I think I've learned, she'll appreciate more. There are certain things that just money can't buy. But you have to be willing to do the work and listen. But that's enough. I've said more than enough. Again, let me get back in my lane. Make sure I'm staying in finance. I know some of y'all are like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm not. So let's get to our homework assignment before, I've said more than enough. So again, keep recording your transactions. Do this every day for the next few weeks. Then there are 2 new assignments for this week. I want you to start putting together categories. So you can kind of see above me a few of the categories in mine. We'll talk more about that next week, but start putting together the categories that you have since you've been recording your transaction for the last 4 weeks. You should know. And then I also want you to tell me, or not tell me, but for yourself, kind of determine what your monthly income is and your yearly income. That'll be important for some of the things we're doing in the future. So today, we talked about those 4 questions going on a journey. We reviewed Michelle's book very quickly. We talked a little bit about finance and money, finance and relationships. I gave you your homework assignment. Homework is good. And, for next week, we're going to start working on the spending plan categories because I really want to start putting the spending plan together. Okay? So, that's my time for today. TruEngineer. Yeah, how about this? Y'all like that action? Peace. It's like popping the collar, popping the shirt. Peace. Yeah. Peace.